Today, I want to start the video off a little bit different. Normally, it's just all about League of Legends, but I've had a really good day today. I've had a massive day today. I got up at 7 a.m., which is not stupid early, but got up at 7 a.m. for work. Worked from 8:30 till 5:30. Went straight, I work in internet and phones, went straight from work to this old lady's house to set up her internet. That took me like 2 hours because there was heaps of issues with her cabling. And then I went to the gym, and in my head the entire time I was like, man, I really have to get home and make this video. I haven't made a video in a few days, and I've been dying to make this video on Zeus. We're going to jump right into the gameplay, but I was reflecting in the car, and this has no relevance to League at all, but I just wanted to instill something in you guys just in case someone needs to hear this, someone needs this. I don't know, this is just something that I realized, and I've been thinking about a lot lately. If you have something that's worth putting effort into, you should be grateful for it. You know, like work your hardest at it, be the best that you want to be at it, like focus on your craft every single day, do what you love, and put your all into it. You know, I was driving from thing to thing, like after work, I was like, gotta go to this lady's house, gotta go to the gym, rah. And I was like, this is what you live for, you know, like you live for that next goal, you live for that next thing to like put effort into, you live for that next step, you live for that feeling of satisfaction when you complete a task, you live for that moment when you complete something successfully and you do your best at it, you know? If you're heading off to uni or school or class or gym or practice or anything today and you don't want to go and it's just a chore, just be grateful, man, because like one day you're going to be 60, 70, 80 and you can't do all those things, and you have to look back on these days so fondly, and it's going to be the best days of your life. And it can really, I didn't want to do any of those things after work. I wanted to come home, like I'm sitting here dripping in sweat, haven't had a shower yet or anything, and I've got to go make dinner, but like I just wanted to make this video because it's like one of the things that I'm the most passionate about is making content for you guys and connecting with my community. It really gives you like a different perspective on the way you approach tasks and can approach your day. Like it can make you feel like, oh, I've got to do this thing, as opposed to, I'm so glad, I'm so thankful that I get the opportunity to do this thing. You know, if like you got to go to practice and you're too tired, man, there's people out there in wheelchairs that'd love to go to practice. You know, there's people out there who have disabilities or people who just aren't in as fortunate a situation as you, who can't even do those things. So, you know, try to be grateful, and let me know if this tidbit, you know, helps you through your day. Like, I'm sorry it's dragged on. I wanted to get that off my chest because, you know, I was thinking about it in the car and I was like, I'm so much more than a League of Legends bot. Like, this is one of my passions and this is what I love to do, but there's just heaps more to life, and you should be grateful for everything that you can put effort into. Anyway, enough of the serious message out of the way. I don't really know why. I just wanted to share that with someone because I felt like it might help somebody in a similar situation. But either way, watching Zeus today in Master Tier on his world-renowned, this is world-class tier Jayce. The reason his Jayce is so good is because this guy's spacing, macro, micro, everything just accents his playstyle on the champion so well. We have the Longsword 3 start. Let me get these off. The whole idea behind Longsword start on Jayce is that you don't really take damage if your spacing's good enough, therefore you don't need the extra health. Longsword obviously gets you to your spikes earlier as well, without having to offset your Eclipse by going a Doran's item, and the pots give you a lot of trading power. So if you do take damage from the wave or you get traded back, whatever, you've got 3 pots to fill you back up on. We see him push really hard in here first because Graves' playstyle within the lane, he really wants to push you under the tower. So Jayce kind of like wants to counteract that. That's why as soon as he got to lane, he started autoing straight away. And then you'll see whenever, unless Jayce has a CS to go for, whenever Graves walks up for a CS, he'll posture like in an aggressive way. So Graves has to either choose between trading back or last hitting the CS. So one thing with the range matchup as well, what I noticed with Zeus, especially like it's Zeus, someone says Zeus, it's spelled the same way as Zeus, the Greek mythological god. I don't know, we're just gonna say Zeus today because that's what all the casters say. What I noticed with Zeus on Jayce is he just continuously pushes the opposing top laner under the tower, basically on repeat unless his flash is down, his jungler's playing, he's playing for weak side. What this allows him to do is when the enemy is last hitting, you can just space a lot more aggressively and posture under the tower and go for those like little poke sort of trades, get them low enough to eventually look for kills. So as you see, he does a really good job at pressuring the wave, and it's kind of surprising to me that he even keeps like playing up this far. I feel like maybe he's just that confident in his ability to outplay the gank when Viego is ganking bot lane. It's very interesting to me. He hasn't even warded yet, whether he's like a demon at tracking, I don't know. There's not even a map cover on, so maybe I feel like he's just confident that he can outplay the gank. Either way, he always plays really aggressively on this champion because he has crazy good spacing. So we obviously all know that Graves is another range matchup who can poke you back pretty easily. That EQ hitting, doing a nice little bit of damage there. And one little thing as well, I'm just going to quickly jump back and highlight something that I don't see a lot of Jayces do, and this is something that Zeus takes full advantage of. You'll see in this little bit of spacing here. Wait, where's the speed? Can I change the speed? Let's go to 0.5. You'll see he like keeps crossing back through his gate for the movement speed. So he'll go out, get like the movement speed, move up, auto, and then by the time the opposing top laner goes to auto him back, he'll run back into the movement speed. Well, he's got his W on here, but he'll usually run back into the gate for the movement speed burst again, and that'll get him out of the range, the auto attack range of the enemy champion, which is something that you'll see him do a lot in this lane. He plays around Jayce's gate really, really well. I see a lot of people just use it for the EQ, but either way, Zeus has taken full advantage of it, and then he eased the Graves away to stop counter trade. Something awesome you'll see him do in this lane, and he plays it really, really well. He also does that when he's like getting ganked. He'll just keep like running in and out of the gate so he can kite, which is something that I don't see a lot of Jayces do, but Zeus does it masterfully. As we see, Graves getting really low here. He does have the Conqueror as well, so every of these poke little autos here is going to be ramping up his AD as he picks up a nice, clean little solo kill there. Goes toward deep in the jungle, and I think he is going to go for the Serrated Dirk as we get ganked by the Kane, unluckily. Going to make it really annoying to get the kill either way. This is something that you should always do as well. I'm just going to highlight this really quickly. You should always try your absolute hardest and like survive. Don't just stand there and like emote, I'm going to die. Like you should always try your absolute hardest to get away from the jungler, even if like, who knows what's going to happen. The keyboard could DC, I don't know. Either way, the whole idea behind the play is that you're still wasting the jungler's time. You're still wasting the time of, like, if you're going to die anyway, you might as well just keep running. Like, who cares if you're out of mana? Like, just keep walking away from them. Make it as hard as possible. Because if you don't, like, are you really trying your hardest to win? You're still going to waste the time of the opposing champion. You're still going to make them feel frustrated. Like, whatever. There's still heaps. This Serrated Dirk pick up first, by the way, really highlights why the longsword starts very strong, because it gives you very early access to the Serrated Dirk. As we see, Graves lose pretty much a third of his HP, which is healed back now from Fleet Footwork, but I digress. And then we also see the tier purchase as well, obviously allowing Jayce to poke more and then stacking up for that mirror mana to get his spike early enough. We have the Vamp Scepter, Fleet Footwork buy on the Graves. It's going to be pretty hard to poke him out now because this is the way that Graves is like to play for the sustain condition. That being said, the Jayce has EQ here, and I think he's just going to kill the Graves. Really playing around this Conqueror really well. Graves may live here. This is very, very close actually. Let's see what he does here. It's kind of like a weird spot because if Graves Q autos in when he's in Q, maybe he dies. EQ blind. Graves dodges it inside the brush. So you see him go back into his gate there for movement speed. So a really cool thing and how he actually did this is he autos and then he knows Graves is going to auto, so it locks him out of the auto attack animation. So if Graves has another shell here, if Graves just autos, Jayce dies, but because Graves Qs, the animation of the Q actually saves Jayce. Jayce survives with like 3 HP, luckily enough, but another auto would have been enough to do the job. Either way, very well played, very, very close as well. We see that Vamp Scepter doesn't really play towards the damage condition, but that sustain condition that it allows him to play towards makes him really, really annoying to kill because he just sustains back up with the wave. 46 CS at 5 minutes and 53 seconds with 2 kills. Just seeing Zeus make absolute work of this Jayce. Like this Graves, you think Master Tier is like high elo, but then you watch like this, like Zeus, one of the best top laners in the world, obviously. You think Master Tier is like high elo, you're like, oh, there's elo heaven, you know, like everyone's good, my teammates can't be bad. Like, just look at like Graves is one of the best top laners in the game, and Zeus just makes it look like ain't no thing. Like, it's the ability on this guy, he's just such a freak, especially on Jayce. Like, his spacing is just nuts. His spell sequencing, comboing, everything is just really, really good. Skip ahead, we're going straight towards the Eclipse here, obviously. Level 6, he does miss that wave, unfortunately, but that's what happens when Graves still has TP out. Let's see what happens and what he does now. So we see Graves starting to like sort of look to counter shove. Hey, is that a new particle, by the way? That little circle that appears on the ground? I've never seen this. What is that? Is that Jayce? Has to be, right? Is that from his Q, his hammer Q? Anyway, on the way to the Eclipse, we do have the tier stacking as well going into the mirror mana. Obviously an extremely strong item on Jayce. Helps him with a lot of his AD and also helps him with any mana problems that he may have. Jayce obviously goes for like poke in mid game, so he's going to be trying to like whittle the enemy team down so that your ally team can set up a dive or set up a siege, something like that. So you need to be able to play to poke the enemy team down. But if Jayce runs out of mana, that obviously negates that. So we're wanting the mirror mana so he doesn't have any mana problems later. It's a beautiful EQ, basically one-shots the Graves. Let's see how he continues to manage the wave. As you can see, he's still like really aggressive on the lane, on the wave here. Surely he dies. And Graves falls to the Q still. Very well played. Still goes 1 for 1, not too bad. Viego comes to scoop the wave top, stops the Kane from eating too many plates. We have the Vamp Scepter finish, so he's literally the next buy will be his Eclipse. And as I said before as well, guys, like if you enjoy this gameplay, feel free to subscribe. Helps me out a lot. You can change your mind later. And like I really find that, okay, so this is like kind of one of those points I was talking about how he like plays within his gate. So like he just uses the movement speed. If you cast your gate sideways, you can keep moving through it for the movement speed, which is really, really nice. Basically gets Graves to base HP just off that. Like he can surely just dive the Graves from here or hit it in EQ and he'll die. If you enjoy this type of content, feel free to leave a sub, like, feedback, all that kind of thing as he fails the ward over the wall. For anyone that doesn't know, if you actually put the ward right there and you're standing on this little blue flower, you can actually ward straight through here. It takes a bit of practice, but you don't have to cross all the way back into the river, wasting your time. You catch that jungler early. I feel like against a Kayn, you might even want to ward here anyway, because it's very rare that Kayn will just walk through walk around. He'd probably just go through the wall, so a ward here is probably more effective. Graves goes and heals off either the Gromp or he's going to get Honey Fruit. Either way. Yeah, as he fails the ward. Either way, the gate thing as well. If you guys are aspiring Jayce players, make sure that you pay attention to the way that Zeus casts his spells and like the way that he makes Jayce, he enables Jayce or makes Jayce work. You should like focus on those like little things and look to make them work yourself. Here's an EQ. Oh my god, what was that actually? Alright, we're gonna have to watch this back, shall we? Okay, so we see Graves is very low. Graves obviously has the protection of the creeps here. It doesn't anticipate this, so let's put it slow as. I know what happens. We'll go 0.25. He flashes over this wave and like animation cancels the EQ. So you'll see from here. So flashes over the wave. And then as soon as he flashes over the wave, EQ. Basically all instantly, like it looks so nice. Let's watch it in real time. Oh, not real time, but without pausing. Like all within probably 5 frames, he did all that. Really, really nice to watch. It's just the same thing as like when you get mastery of basically any champion, like those kind of combos that you can do. It's just unreal to watch. We see him 4 and 2, and he's kind of been weak sided too, because Viego hasn't really come top at all except to catch the wave. So he was kind of in a weak side situation, but he just literally bullied Graves and then 2v1'd essentially. Even if he goes 1-for-1, he's still getting like, and the jungler does gank, like it's still successful for him because he brought the jungler top side, but still ended up getting something out of it. It's only a net negative for your team when you die without getting anything out of it. So we have the Eclipse going into Longsword and Boots. We still have that tier stacking as well. Game looking a little bit in the favor of Zeus. Let's see what he does with his lead here. Misses the Q. I haven't seen Graves' CS though. I want to know what sort of like deficit or advantage that Zeus is at for this Graves. Yeah, their bot side's sort of losing. That's alright. Viego goes to counter gank bot. It's just he knows that both junglers are bot lane here. He can just fight without having to worry about it. Obviously, at a pretty big item advantage, I would say. I'm going to say that Graves is probably sitting on Dirk, Vampiric, and maybe Longsword. Maybe a Cloth Armor or something. Let's see what Graves is on. Oh, he's actually going for Shield Bow. That's interesting. I had a lot of Graves go Eclipse top, but I don't know. Graves is one of those champions that like doesn't really need a Mythic. 2 levels down, doesn't really need a Mythic to be enabled. Normally, like something like Aurelia. I've seen Aurelia's not even go Mythic until like 4th item, because Aurelia can just synergize so well with like Blade of the Rune King's always, he misses that EQ, doesn't matter. The Conqueror stacked up too fast. He misses, he doesn't need to go a Mythic because his kit is pretty much enabled without a Mythic, and a lot of the core stats as well, he can just get through a multitude of different items. Aurelia with Blade of the Rune King is basically Mythic level anyway, so she can just go like Blade of the Rune King into like Death Dance. A few champions that can do that. I feel like Fiora doesn't, like, she's like nice with a Mythic, but she doesn't probably really need it too much. She could probably be pretty happy going like Blade of the Rune King, Death Dance as well. Sort of like the potent build. But either way, that's top tower down. I hope you guys enjoyed this laning phase breakdown. If you did, please leave a like and sub for more educational content. Let me know what you guys want to see as well. I'm always happy to take on feedback and improve my content, and like loved having you guys here. Hope you enjoyed this like little bit of a different video, but yeah, thanks so much. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.